Okay, good evening, everyone. It's 6:02, so we're going to get started with the Planning, Development, and Zoning Commission meeting for this evening. Start with roll call. See Ryan Miller, that's me, I'm here. Kyle Maraskin.
Here.
Mary Ann.
Here.
Kenneth Haynes.
Here.
Christy Kennard.
Here.
Dorothy Wayne is on her way, so we will hopefully have her join us shortly. And then Mohammed.
Here.
Excellent. Can I get everybody to stand for the pledge, please?
Honor the Texas flag. Texas. And kind of just fell off.
Se would have got fall off in the middle.
Thank you. Okay, and Ms. Tammy, any comment cards this evening? No, okay. So we will start with our consent agenda for the evening. We have 3 items on there. Are there any items that anybody up here would like to pull out? No?
Wait, I have a question.
Okay.
Just to be clear, I was reading through the notes, and it was not approved in February, but this one didn't say why, but they made the arrangements.
Which one?
And
Which one?
number A, I'm sorry, letter A.
Oh, yeah.
So I was just wondering.
Yes, so there were a few comments on this plat, and they addressed it since the February meeting.
Okay.
That's why we're recommending approval.
Okay.
Okay, if there's no other questions, then I'll take any motions.
Motion to approve consent agenda, items A, B, and C.
A second.
Excellent. All those in favor? And motion carries unanimously, 6-0. Okay, first item on our regular agenda for tonight, item A, consideration of possible action to approve the final plat of Valencia Section 5. Joes, do you want to give us a rundown of that?
Yes. This is one of the residential sections within Valencia Master Plan Development. The proposed section includes 64 traditional single-family residential lots with minimum width of 50 feet and minimum area of 6,000 square foot. And it also includes 26 single-family specialty product allowed as per the DA. Staff is recommending denial of this proposed plat based on the 11 comments that's listed in the report. The first one being providing registered professional land surveyor signature on the plat. Number 2, revised note 2 to reference accurate date based on the provided city planning letter. Include the name, plat name, Valencia Section 2, final plat to the owner's acknowledgement, and additionally provide property owner's signature and associated notary signatures on the face of the plat. Number 4, revised street side setback for Block 1, Lot 7, and Block 2, Lot 29 to 15 feet. Number 5, revise the lot area summary table to include a column for lot width at the front building line. Number 6, revise to include a note pertaining to setback requirements specified in the Valencia PUD document. Ensure that 25-foot required setback for garages is stated. Number 7, include a general note indicating that the development regulations of the Valencia PUD approved by ordinance number 2021-0-18 apply to the plat. Number 8, provide drainage district signature on the face of the plat at the time of final submittal. Number 9, please revise note 16 to expand PD&Z to Planning, Development, and Zoning Commission, or add PD&Z to the list of legend. Number 10, include plat notes regarding proximity to structures, proximity of structures to pipelines as per section 62-116. Additionally, review the plat for compliance with reference requirements. Finally, number 11, lot number 2, lot number 9, and lot number 13 of block 2 are less than 5,400 square feet as identified from the approved master plan. Just note, the applicant was in conversation with the staff. They've addressed most of the comments, and they could not do the final submittal before the meeting because they are waiting on signature from the Drainage District.
Jose, I have a question about that. All of these points, these are normal points that come in with the plats, correct? I mean, this is what needs to be done before we go any further, correct?
Right, correct.
Okay. Is there a reason that they did not do that before they brought it to us?
Yes, so they,
I'm sorry, I was just,
It's usually because they don't want to pay for it. So it's, yeah.
well, now they got to pay twice, right?
Yeah.
so, yeah, they'll have to pay a resubmittal
Yeah.
fees. So one of the issues is like, just a quick explanation on the process. A plat application is made, we do a quick review, give initial comments, and these were all the comments that were provided to them. Then they bring it back as a final submittal, clearing all the comments, and then it's presented to the commission. What happened on this one was they did not do the final submittal because, as I said, the Drainage District, they were waiting on the signature, and their thought was like they will submit when the plat is signed. Now, the answer to your question as to why did they submit the first time with all these outstanding items, I don't know. I wish I knew the answer. We always encourage them to address comments the first time they submit.
It just
But-
depends on how good their checkers are and their draftsmen are and all that.
I can tell you from experience in Florida, sometimes they utilize the agencies as a check and balance. So they'll go ahead and submit their drawings, knowing that we're gonna, or the staff is gonna find some issues, and then they go back and fix them from that.
So basically, they're using y'all to do that.
Which is wonderful. At one time, I've actually threatened to bring you a plat the way it is submitted, and the pages of things that would be wrong with it would be staggering.
Then that's where I'm going with, Okay.
And just one more point, this is like Valencia, and this is just the first few plats that they've worked on. So our experience is generally, as they do more plats, they get better. So
Okay.
just a point.
Any other questions then?
So
No.
you said there was just the one thing left?
No, it was just on a conversation. We haven't received
Okay.
a final submittal.
Any motions then?
I'll make a motion to approve item A.
Second.
All those in favor? And all those opposed? Motion fails unanimously 0-7. Very good. Item B, consideration possible action to approve the final plat for Valencia, Section 6.
This is from the same master plan development. This includes 27 residential lots, includes specialty products, 45 feet by 120 feet lots. Staff is recommending denial of this plat also, because of the 9 comments listed in the report. 1, provide registered professional land surveyor signature on the face of the plat. 2, provide property owner's signature and associated notary signatures on the face of the plat. 3, revise lot area summary table to include a column for lot at the front building line. Number 4, revise to include a note pertaining to setback requirements specified in Valencia PUD document. Number 5, include a general note indicating that the development regulations of the Valencia PUD document approved by ordinance number 2021-0-18 on July 19, 2021 apply to the plat. Number 6, provide drainage district signatures on the face of the plat. Number 7, provide letter of no objection from CenterPoint Energy and all other applicable utility companies. Number 8, revise note number 16 to expand PD&Z to Planning Development and Zoning Commission, or add PD&Z to the list of legend. Number 9, include plat notes regarding proximity of structures to pipelines as per section 62-116. Additionally, review the plat for compliance with referenced requirements.
Thank you.
It would be the same question, so I won't ask it again.
Any questions from anyone? No? Any motions from anyone?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, very good. All those in favor? And all those opposed? Motion fails 0-7. Agenda item C has been withdrawn, so we'll skip over that. Agenda item D, consideration possible action to approve and forward with recommendation to City Council a master plan for, I'll say this wrong, of Avellino? Okay.
Good job.
This is a request for a master plan, which will also act as their preliminary plat. This is for a community called Avellino. The proposed master plan is in our ETJ area. It's not within the city limits. Staff is recommending denial of this master plan because the development will not have on-site sewage facilities because it'll be served by Brazoria County Mud Number 42 wastewater treatment plant, and the applicant has not been able to provide an agreement between the MUDs regarding the utility provisions. So therefore, staff is recommending denial of this master plan until that item is cleared.
Okay.
That's a pretty good reason.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Anybody have any questions?
Just my curiosity, what rules apply for, what is the big difference between ETJ and the city? I guess.
I wish we had,
That's a very significant question.
Yeah.
Almost, well, every ordinance that the city council passes is applicable inside the city limits. Not every, actually, very few ordinances apply in the ETJ. Those that are specifically allowed by state law are allowed in the ETJ. The most specific one is probably the subdivision ordinance. It has an impact in the ETJ. The city's zoning ordinance, which defines land use, is not relevant in the ETJ and doesn't affect the ETJ. There are certain other things that the city can pass in the way of an ordinance that affects the ETJ. Some are sexually oriented businesses, some advertising, currently fireworks, although that's on state law is, I think, in the process of changing right now. But the ETJ is that area outside the city limits, and it's based on the city's population, half mile, 2 miles, or 5 miles. That the city has the ability to annex property into the city. Annexation laws changed in the last legislative session. It has to be a petition for annexation. And prior to that, the city had the ability to unilaterally annex property that was in the ETJ. Those are kind of the differences between what's inside the city limits, which is what you think of in the city, and the ETJ, which is sort of immediately outside of the city limits. Avellino is kind of an odd one because there's city limits that goes all the way around it, but the property that Avellino is not inside the city limits.
I'm trying to figure out exactly where it is. Like, I can't get that big enough.
It's on the west side of 288, between 288 and County Road 48, and immediately south of Rodeo Palms and north of the Manvel Town Center.
So that little section is just not in the city limits.
It's not in the city limits.
It's interesting.
The area where Manvel Town Center is along Highway 6 is inside the city limits. There's a 10-foot strip that goes up County Road 48 all the way up to Magnolia that was incorporated into the city limits in the 60s, I think, when the city incorporated in 1961. And then there's some areas that were annexed. I think where what is called Manvel Palms, used to be called Yanni Palms, that was requested to be annexed. So the city limits Rodeo Palms was included in it. Manvel Palms was added to the city by the petition of the prior property owner.
Okay.
So it's kind of it's a donut hole that's
Yeah.
kind of south and a little bit west of sort of the back part of the gated section of of Rodeo Palms.
Yeah, almost to Highway 6.
There's another section
Yeah.
that's between that.
Okay.
Yes, generally.
I was looking on the map that was there, and I just couldn't, when I was zooming, I couldn't get it.
Right. You're in the area.
Yeah.
There's a church on the other side, and would be in that area, you know, if you're going back towards Rodeo Palms, I think there's a big Catholic church.
Yeah.
And then is that area right across is what you're talking about? Or right in that?
Generally, yes.
Yeah.
There's actually a business over on County Road 48 that has a whole bunch of used tires. That's
too.
outside the city limits.
Okay.
And Mud 47 or Avelino is kind of just to the east of
Okay.
that.
I know where that is. Okay. But we definitely need to have that.
Okay. Any other questions? Any motions?
Make a motion to approve item D.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Oh.
And all those opposed? So, motion fails 0-7. Okay. Agenda item E, consideration and possible action to approve an extended stay permit for a recreational vehicle located at 8406 West Sherry Circle. Joes, if you'll start us off.
Sure. This is a request for an extended stay permit for an RV located at 8406 West Sherry Circle. The applicant also owns the lot adjoining this lot, which I believe the address is 8410 West Sherry Circle. These are two separately platted lots that exist over there. The applicant had been in touch with staff since July 2022. On two occasions, the applicant met with staff and indicated that her previous residence, where she was living in a manufactured home within the city at a different location. She was moving from there. She had an eviction notice from that property, and she had purchased this property, and she met with staff to discuss developing a single-family residential home on the subject site. So staff discussed the processes and all the requirements and regulations with the applicant, and one of the items indicated was replatting the property to combine the two lots, because as the lot exists, these are non-conforming lots and do not meet the current standards. After those meetings, staff has met with the applicant on other occasions and had conversations in person as well as via phone to discuss the requirements. And during those conversations, the applicant has indicated that the platting requirement is a little burdensome on them, and they also asked staff to see if there was any alternate way to develop without the platting process. And at the meeting, the applicant also indicated that they would like to temporarily live on this property in an RV, and staff explained to them that the ordinances allow that on a temporary basis for 6 months, and after which they will need an extended stay permit. So currently on the property, the applicant has two RVs. One is used for storage, one is used for living. On September 2022, our code enforcement officer, Ms. Danielle, visited the subject site after a citizen complained and issued a notice of violation regarding the RV being used as a permanent dwelling. And even after that notice, the applicant met with staff to discuss the process. The applicant has indicated that they've tried to secure a loan to get a loan for home construction, but somehow due to the economic climate right now, they're not able to make any progress on that. So therefore, after several discussions and after all this time that passed, on March 21st, 2023, Ms. Brooks, the applicant, filed an extended stay permit with the permits department. On the application, our ordinance, as per the section 47-38, there are a total of 5 criteria for which can allow for an extended stay permit, and they've indicated that they qualify for the item which says individuals who have selected a camping unit as a housing alternative for extended periods due to extenuating circumstances such as illness. So staff did discuss the request with the applicant to see if there were any documentation or anything that can be provided to substantiate the request for 6 months, so that they can show that within 6 months they'll have an alternate arrangement, and the RV can be moved out of that property, or home construction can be started on the property. But unfortunately, they were not able to provide us with anything. At that point, the applicant has clearly indicated that their illness is one of the extenuating conditions they have. The applicant has indicated that she's wheelchair-bound, and she would like to continue to live in Manvel. And the applicant is here tonight and would also like to present their case to the commission. The applicant indicated that their hope is that in the coming 6 months, the economy changes and they're able to secure a loan and start the home construction process and be able to take the RV out of that property. Since we do not have any supporting documentation or any sort of evidence that kind of suggests that this request is for a temporary 6 months, staff is not able to recommend approval of this request. So staff is recommending denial. And we do have the applicant here tonight who would like to present their case to you all.
Okay, very good. And just one quick clarifying question for you. Is this just for one of the units or both of the units, or is it just for would it just be applied to the property in general, so it doesn't matter?
It would apply generally in the property.
Okay.
But the application form indicated one of the addresses. But since we knew both properties are owned by them, we mentioned that in the report.
Okay.
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
So, I'm sorry, I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. The staff, I'm assuming Kyle's been aware of this from July 2022? So the staff has been aware of this since July 2022, and you've been working with them towards that. It was a citizen that came forward complaining about the RV there. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So you are acting on another citizen's complaint. Is that correct?
Well, yeah.
So that citizen wants you to enforce the codes within the city of Manvel, which is our job here and the staff's job, correct? So I'm just trying to make sure I'm understanding what our role is here, because there's a citizen that's complained about the RV being parked, knowing that there's codes to be enforced, and the staff hasn't enforced those codes up till now because you've been working with another citizen that wanted to stay in Manvel. I just wanted to make that clear. Okay.
Just to elaborate on that point, so usually the way it works is the ordinance says you can have 6 months, and then beyond that 6 month, you have to have an extended stay permit. In this situation, the 6-month count began after the complaint when the code enforcement officer was out there and the notice of violation was presented. So the 6 months passed, and for another 6 months, this request is made.
Absolutely. But that's been another citizen that's made that complaint against this, against their own neighbor. So it's simply the commission's job and the staff's job to enforce the codes that are on the books currently.
So they get 6 months, right? Just the process of it is they get 6 months, right? Anybody who buys land, they're going to try to, you give them 6 months without a permit.
That is
And then they
correct.
can apply for an additional 6 months.
Correct.
And they just recently, this application we have today is the application for the additional 6 months?
That is correct.
So you mentioned that there was some documentation that was supposed to be submitted?
So, yes, so this request So usually what our recommendation is based on whatever information we have which suggests that this is truly a temporary request and not like a request to continue for like a significantly extended period
Right.
of time. And in the past, whenever we've approved an extended stay permit, like the most recent one was a few months ago where there was information like a deed for another property purchased, a permit to place the RV on that property in another jurisdiction. So all those documents suggested that within that timeline it was possible to move. So we don't have that in this case. That's what my point was about the documentation.
Okay.
Something else?
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
So, do we have any are we privy to the information of who complained? I'm just asking. I already know that answer.
Yeah, I don't think so. So a lot of these complaints that come in as anonymous. So there's
Imagine that.
no way to
Great.
pinpoint where it came from.
But again, it's not the staff.
Yeah.
Just-
And I had that same question for the code enforcement officer, and that's the answer.
And I'm okay with, but it's not the staff, is my.
That is correct.
Okay, well, like I said, the applicants are here, so if y'all like to come up and say anything, you're welcome to. We have 3 minutes.
I don't really know what to say. None of y'all know me or my partner. We've lived here for 13 years. We're law-abiding, honest citizens. We don't harm anybody. We don't break any rules. We took care of our home when we had it. We are managers of our property and where we lived. We took care of our animals and helped our neighbors and tried to be good people. Truly, I didn't understand the business of we have to unplat this property. We had some very ugly circumstances happen to us that forced us out of our home of 12 years. The landowner evicted us. The only people on the property that paid, we were evicted during COVID and the freeze. We had no water. We had a lot of problems with that property and landlord. Apologize for that. Personal opinion. At any rate, we have a good idea who made the complaint call. We have several long pages of harassment charges against the former landlord. Again, we didn't know what we were getting into when we bought this beautiful little piece of property over here. Actually, we thought we were outside the city limits. We had bought a house to put on it, and when the house mover found out it was inside the city limits, he jacked the price up about $5,000, and we had to come up with $27,000 in 3 weeks. So obviously he wasn't real interested in helping us live in our beautiful little city here. We want to build here, we want to live here. I don't want to be thrown out in the street because the city ordinance says it's not okay. We're good people. Truly, we don't have anywhere to go. We have big dogs. We can't go into an RV park. To rent a house, again, pet deposits on every dog. We have 3. We are looking at $1,250 a month to rent a house that we'll never own. It's like, just chuck it in the garbage. We own this land, and we had to pay an outrageous amount of money to even buy bare land, which went deeply into our savings, which we thought we'd be able to start building a house and making steps forward. We're pretty much scrambling with the cost of everything like it is. The home equity loan we were supposed to get to build on. Now our bank, because the economy is so bad, said, no, I'm sorry, but we can't even give you the equity that you have already in your property because, well, it's a mess and we're just not going to do it anymore. So Beyond that, I don't know what else to say, or just kindly ask that y'all don't throw me off my own property.
Thank you very much. What other questions do y'all have?
I have a question. Okay, so if they get this for 6 months on the intent of using the camping unit as a housing alternative due to illness, is there something that you need about the illness? Is that some sort of paperwork that you might be looking for?
Not exactly about the illness, but what happens after 6 months? Something that substantiates the request being temporary.
Okay, and then after that 6 months, they could possibly come back and ask for another 6 months, but it's in the same position that they're already in.
Right.
And
Okay.
repeat and repeat
Yeah.
and repeat.
And
We're just
repeat.
kicking the can down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And we've denied a lot less.
What other questions do y'all have? Any? No? Do we have any motions then? Comments, questions? Motions?
Are there options other than denial of this?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, if you can, the microphone, please, sir.
Okay, take him on that goes as an accusation. That goes as an accusation if he says the name.
Yeah.
I know who complained against us having the RV on our property. I already know who did that. And he, I can just say, he was our landlord over there in Patterson.
Just quick question, how long you living in this property right now, in the RV?
Yeah, I can hardly hear it.
How long you are staying in this RV?
Right now, it's been 7 months, and FYI, I've hated every minute of it. I want a house, I want a home. I hate that trailer. And I really want out of it, but circumstances are what they have been so far, and we've been somewhat financially at a standstill with all this, to find out that we can't even get our equity loan because the economy and the banks are so afraid to open any other loans. Yeah, we've tried several places. The best thing that we could get so far was 12% interest. That's a lot of money.
You know,
We've tried having a builder out there to give us estimates. We've looked at modular homes and tried to explore that. As I've said, we've tried to get my house that I already bought moved onto the property, and Mr. Cherry made it so expensive that I didn't have $27,000 in my pocket to pay him in 3 weeks. I doubt there's very many people even in here that's got $7,000 in their pocket to, well, here you go, this is all good now, so we're trying. We're just kind of at a wit's end here, what to do.
I have a question also for you. So when y'all bought this property, thinking that you were going to put a house on there, did you have an idea that you were going to live somewhere else before the house was built? Or how did the trailer become on the property? I
We
mean,
have the trailer that we use. It's an old vintage Airstream that we use for storage. And I thought, well, with the house already built, it wouldn't take but maybe 6, 8 weeks to get it livable enough to where the trailer could be parked or sold back to the company we bought it from. It is a brand new trailer, but we needed a place where we could live. And the tent in the yard didn't strike me as a real good idea. Air conditioned, there's no windows to hold it.
Okay, so where we stand right now, then our options are either to go with the staff recommendation to deny it, we can approve it against their recommendation, which would be for 6 months, or really those are kind of our two pathways right here. So
I guess my question would be like, if we give you 6 months, what changes in that 6 months? I mean, I know that you don't necessarily know.
Honey,
I'm sorry.
my hearing aid is.
That's okay.
broken.
If we gave you the permit for 6 months, to give you an opportunity to do that extension, how do things change in the next 6 months so that, we can't continue to give 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, So if we decide that we want to give you an opportunity to see if you can make some progress, I mean, I guess that's kind of, just knowing we can't continue to keep giving 6 months against the Sydney ordinances. So I guess my question for you is, at the end of this, if we were to give you 6 months, what happens at the end of that 6 months? Do you think you'll be in a better place where you are able to have your house moved on? I mean, I think we just need to hear more about that, like what happens 6 months from now, because we can't continue to give extended stays for indefinitely, right?
Hopefully, we are diligently trying to find a bank that will finance us. You'd be amazed how many people do not want to finance unimproved land. Now, I do have water, septic, electric, so it's got some improvements, but as far as they're concerned, it's bare land, and many institutions that we've called so far don't want bare land, and they don't do construction loans. The very best I can hope for is that the economy gets better, and we will find a lending institution that will help us have a home, and we don't have to keep doing this.
Can you at least get approval from the city, or, I mean, like in the process of at least do some legwork? I mean, like, at least you can do some legwork, right, for future building houses or whatever you want to build on that land. Can you, apply for approval for planning or plan for your house or design your house or something like that? At least it show it that you are, doing something.
What I'd ideally like to have is a vintage, 100-year-old historical house that came from Sugar Land, Texas. In the Sugar Land community, it's called, well, I don't know if y'all are familiar with the Sugar Shack. I now own a Sugar Shack, so I have a house to put on the land. But again, the bank isn't approving my equity loan. And we've got a substantial amount of equity in that house. We've got about $41,000 in equity right now.
But I guess you can approve the land, right? You can approve your house plan before you go to bank, right?
Well, when we found out that Mr. Cherry wanted all that money at once, we had to have the loan several months before Chocolate Bayou would approve an equity loan. When we checked several weeks ago, we wanted to put a storage shed so we didn't have all our belongings in the storage shed on 1128. So, again, we're just.
So,
No, go ahead.
so I have another question. So the house that you already have, are you planning on moving that house from its current location to the new location?
Yes,
Okay.
if we can get our home equity financing, our savings has dwindled because we had to put so much money down on this property. We had to put $20,000 down. That was roughly $32,000. It pretty well wiped out our savings, and then money on the trailer, and get our electric connected, that was another
I got a
$8,000.
question.
We've had to put out a lot.
okay.
And we were counting on that equity loan so that we could get our house moved, or we've even checked with the builder to see if that would be something more doable.
Pardon me. Joe's, is step one moving the house? Is that step one?
And as I mentioned, there's that plating requirement since it's
Right.
not a conforming lot. And that is something that the applicant was not able to do and
That's step one.
has
Plating
indicated
is step
several
one.
times
That's why
that it's
staff, this
unenforceable.
sounds like a staffing issue. I don't think any of us here would be capable of doing what staff does. I know I'm not capable of doing what you guys do. So, or you. But plating is step one. Moving the house isn't step one. So you've spent since July discussing these options? So moving the house isn't step one. So we could be here for a while.
Okay.
Or we could let staff take this. Just saying.
So on the, what was it about plating that wasn't possible?
So the applicant indicated that the cost, it was too much for them to afford it at that point, and they were trying to see if there was a variance or some way to bypass the plating requirement, which there isn't a way, actually.
Okay, so the question on the table is then, do we want to give, kick the can down the road and give them 6 more months to do the plating, get loans, stuff like that, and see where this goes, or do we want to go with staff recommendation? So,
And this process, everyone has to go through this process that is in this situation. Is that correct? I mean, there's no like, let's pick you and let's pick you. That's across the board that way. And then
Yes.
you're asking us to make this decision now, but nothing's happened since July.
That is correct.
So that's,
so on that note, do we have any motions unless there's any other pressing questions?
I make a motion to approve.
Second. I got it.
All those in favor? 2 in favor, all those opposed? 5 to 2, motion fails. 2 to 5, sorry. Okay, agenda item F, consideration and possible action to direct staff to provide applicants written statements of the conditions for any conditional approvals
Mr. Chair?
and the reasons for, yes, sir.
Just a suggestion. We got in touch with John Hightower with Olson and Olson, and about the Meridiana General Development Plan, he suggested that we make a motion to move to accept the withdrawal of the General Development Plan, as opposed to not taking an action on it.
Okay,
State law says that you have to take some action,
Once it's
or else
on-
it's deemed approved after 30 days.
Okay.
So the suggestion from him is to make a
Accept the
motion to
withdrawal.
accept the withdrawal. That way you're taking an action, you're confirming that the applicant had requested that that they withdraw the general development plan, so that's a suggestion.
okay. Then we will circle back to agenda item C for a moment. Consideration possible action to approve Meridian General Development Plan Amendment 22, which was requested to be withdrawn by the applicant. Somebody else want to make a motion?
That was a motion.
It was-
So moved, Mr. Chair.
The
You can
I'll
make one.
second.
second, and all those in favor? Okay, motion passes 7 to 0, accepting the withdrawal.
who made the motion?
I made the motion.
I just said so
And it was
moved.
a good motion.
It was complete.
Who seconded it? I'm sorry.
Everybody?
Dorothy. Dorothy
Dorothy, I
seconded
believe
it.
did, yes.
Might have been late, but I'm here.
Okay, back to item F then. Consideration and impossible action to direct staff to provide applicants written statements of the conditions of any conditional approvals, and the reasons for disapproval of any plans or plats that were not approved per Texas Local Government Code 212.0091. Motions.
I'll make a motion to approve item F.
Second.
Second. All those in favor? Motion passes 7 to 0. And we don't have any absences tonight, so we can skip over agenda item G.
Can make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
But we will look for one more motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Second. And all those in favor? 7 to 0. That one always passes.
Always unanimous, too.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Have a good
It's ever
evening.
non-unanimous.
I have a